Alright, what's up guys? This is NinjaDeathStrike bringing you another Pokemon TCGO battle. Using a Cincinno deck again. This one is with a Vileplume instead of Kofagrigus. And I gotta say, this is kind of a frustrating deck to use. It seems like I always want one more energy attachment and I don't have a way to pull it off because I gotta split my resources between Roserade and getting Cincinno powered up. And since Cincinno takes 3 energy to attack, it gets to be a really big pain in the butt, especially if you flip tails and your Cincinnos keep dying, which will happen quite often. So don't attempt to play this deck unless you have some patience. But anyhow, this is a pretty good match I got with it where it actually worked. So I figured I'd put it up, but just be aware that for every awesome match where things work perfectly, you're going to have about 5 where you just flip 20 tails and die slowly and painfully. Anyhow, I've got a Roserade. I'm going to stick in the lead spot because, or not a Roserade, a Roselia, because Roselia's attack is actually pretty solid for basic. It's flipped 3 coins and it does 20 times the amount of heads, and then you're confused, but you know, you can always retreat. And I don't really want an Oddish up there because it might die and I need them. So I'm going to put a Grass Energy here. I have that Collector in my hand. That means that I am going to be able to get my Cleffa, I believe. Yes, I should, because that's a pretty crappy hand. Although I do have some Oaks, so I could flush it out next turn, but I'd rather get a little bit of momentum going and get into a new hand this turn. So just bench everything, get that second Oddish in case I get Catchered next turn. And okay, maybe I'm not gonna go with that Cleffa. Okay. Oh, I guess because I had a twin, so maybe I thought he would try to kill me that way, and then I could use it to get to Vileplume, but none of my... I think actually all of my cards are weak to Psychic instead of Fire. So that's not going to work out. So I bench Cleffa now and then play my other Collector to go ahead and get 3 more things. Sorry, I'm really confused as to what I'm doing right now. Okay, so I get 3 things. I guess that means I'm not going to play that Oak again this turn. Instead, I'm going to just hang on to my hand, and I guess I don't want to get rid of the twins. That's all I can figure that I was thinking. Sorry, this narration kind of sucks so far. Anyhow, I'm PCOMing right now because I can get a Cincinno, and that's the point of this deck. That's how it wins. So that I'm sure of. I'm definitely going to do that. Why I kept the rest of this hand for so many turns is beyond me. Could have had a chance to get into a Vileplume already, but anyhow, my opponent is going to take a while to acknowledge that, but that's okay. Because now I can get a Cincinno. I was going to get a Gloom, but it looks like it's prized. So Cincinno it is, and I could also have gotten Roserade there, but again, there wasn't much point of that. So now what I'm going to do is evolve, and then I am going to attack here with Roselia using Petal Dance because I want to do enough damage that then he can Outrage and kill me, and then that'll let me activate twins and get Vileplume, and that'll be great. Means I'll be going with 1 Cincinno ready to go and Trainer Lock down, and since I have the second Roselia in my hand, I'll be able to play that. So that's why I played the second Collector. I decided to use the first Roselia basically as a sacrificial flower, and that'll kickstart my deck once he takes a prize. So he is going to go ahead and evolve into Emboar here. So if you haven't figured it out by now, my opponent is playing a Reshiboar deck, which is a deck that has gained quite a bit of popularity recently with the introduction of Heavy Ball. Really helps this deck out. Usually you'll see some Reshiram EXs as well, quite a few of them, since they don't burn energy as fast as a regular Reshiram. But he's getting set up really fast. He's able to Inferno Fandango if he wants to now. He chooses not to here because there's no reason to Blue Flare when an Outrage is going to be enough to take me out. But that is exactly what I wanted. So this turn I am going to be able to Rare Candy into Vileplume. And then I can Eek if I want to get my hand refreshed and get something going. Because unfortunately, like I mentioned, Cincinno takes 3 energy to attack. So with that Twins, I can only get 2 cards, and getting Vileplume out was my top priority to shut off anything else. Trainer-wise, he can't get any more heavy balls or anything like that. It's kind of a turn too late because he already got an Emboar up, but there's nothing I can do about that now. So I do get a pretty nice hand here. Besides the useless items, I get a second Cincinno and a Rescue Energy. Now that Vileplume's up, I'm safe from Lost Remover, which is always an issue for this deck, and I will be able to get my backup attacker started. My only problem is going to be when I go in to attack with the first Cincinno, I'm only going to be able to hit Reshiram for 50, and that means that I am going to be in KO range for an Outrage. And that's where the problem with this deck really comes into play, because if I get outraged, it's going to take me at least 2 turns to get a backup attacker, so I'm either going to have to sacrifice something and give up a prize, or promote my second Cincinno even though it's not ready to go yet, and hope that I just flip heads on the Smooth Coat. And then on top of that, I'm not going to be able to attach energy to Cincinno and Roserade, assuming I get it. So I'm not going to have that Poison and Confusion helping me out either. Or if I do, it's going to put me back another turn from attacking. So you can see where the problems of this deck lie. Honestly, I really like the Kofag Rigas one better, just because it's a little faster, and speed is kind of everything in this metagame. I think if I played more with this deck, like I used this deck for about a day, I got probably about 10 or 15 matches in with it. A lot of them didn't go very well. And I think if I played this deck again, I would play Amoonguss rather than Roserade, just because Amoonguss doesn't eat up your energy attachment for the turn. So I'd probably play Amoonguss with Seekers, since I can't use Super Scoop Up under Trainer Lock. And that might help speed things up a little bit. But anyhow, I wasn't doing it at this point. So I use the Sage there, get some decent stuff. I get a DCE at least, that'll be nice. And I hit Reshiram for 50. So he's at like 80 or 90 now, which means Outrage is definitely going to be enough to KO me. So I really need to flip heads on this Smooth Coat in order to make it through a turn. If I can survive this turn, I'll be in much better shape, because I can attach that DCE next turn, and then the following turn, if I get knocked out, it'll be okay, because I'll have another Cincinno ready to go with only 1 more energy needing to be attached. So I also would like to get into Roserade eventually, but he's not on my top priority right now. And since I have used Echoed Voice once, every turn following this one, it's going to do 100 damage. And again, that's something where you really need to rely on Smooth Coat to get you past that first turn hurdle, because you're only going to hit 50 your first turn, and that's not going to do much of anything. Especially since you can't use Catcher to pick off any of their weaker basics. You have to hit whatever they have out. So he is going to load up his Emboar right here, I guess just anticipating that Reshiram is going to go down, and I don't really like that play on his part, just because he has Inferno Fandango. So, you know, worst comes to worst, he can always wait until the next turn to do it and see what happens. But I do flip aheads here. That means I don't take damage, which is wonderful. I'm still behind on prizes, so I can use my other Twins. I believe I grab a Roserade and a Twins. I don't need an energy this turn, because I will be able to KO this Reshiram now that I'm doing 100 damage. No point in poisoning and confusing it when I can just knock it out. But I have the Roserade there in case I need it next turn. So there, smack this Reshiram with 100 damage, Echoed Voice, take my first prize. And I get a Rainbow Energy, so that's great. It means I have it if I need it for the Roserade. And so here's where the deck really starts to shine. You know, it's so slow at the beginning, and you need to get really lucky to get things going. But now he can't knock me out, and every time I flip ahead, it's just going to buy me another turn to set up more. And that's where the free energy attachments to Roserade won't hurt you too bad, because I'll have another turn if I need it later. Since I have that DCE on my other Cincinno, I only need to attach 1 energy to it, and that means I can afford to spend these turns attaching to Roserade instead. And since I can't KO this Emboar, I'm going to do that now. Go ahead and Poison and Confuse it with its huge 4 retreat cost. If he does commit to retreating it, that's just going to destroy a huge chunk of his energy. And if he leaves it in there, it's not going to have that much of an effect, but it is going to mean that if he tries to attack me, he's going to need to flip 2 specific coins instead of 1. He needs himself to flip a heads and me to flip a tails, so there's only a 25% chance that he'll actually be able to do damage to me here. And that's pretty good odds. So I'm going to think about what I want off of this Twins. Obviously, I'm going to take another Twins since I won't be able to KO the Emboar this turn. I'll have access to Twins for at least 1 more turn. And so I want to take advantage of that while I have it. Once I take the prize lead, Twins is just going to become a dead card. So I grab my 3rd one in a row, I believe, and then hit him with another 100 damage Echoed Voice. So he's now got another Emboar on his bench. He's actually running pretty hot, except that he doesn't have any energy. So there, he gets rid of his hand, which is like 75% trainers. There's also a Zoroark in there. I don't know. Sure. I guess it works because it can be powered up off of DCE, and I think I saw a Zwellius too. So some kind of hybrid Reshi Hydra Bororark deck. Then maybe it works for him. It seems like a lot of Pokemon lines. But he flips the heads on the Confusion. I flip the heads on Smooth Coat, though, so I take no damage again. And that's awesome. So here we go. Activate my final Twins. Grab a DCE and a Grass Energy just because that's really the only thing I need right now is energy to have my backup attackers ready to go. So I now have 2 backup Cincinnos, both with a DCE, meaning they can be ready to go in 1 turn. And I've kind of cleared his field of threats. That Reshiram is back now, and that could be a problem since he's only going to need 2 energy to potentially take me out with an Outrage. Because I won't be able to take him out in 1 hit with an Echoed Voice. So he gets a Cillian that's going to give him 3 fire energy. It will be enough for a Blue Flare if he wants to go that route. At this point, I definitely wouldn't have, because if you burn 2 more energy and then waste your attack, but because I flip a heads, you're going to be basically out of energy. You can't use the energy retrievals, so the only way to get energy back in your hand is a Fisherman. And if you don't have at least 2 or 3 of those, you're just going to be shit out of luck. Basically, you're going to run yourself out of energy. So he puts 1 down. I believe, I mean, he's probably thinking about what he wants to do exactly here. He puts down the 2nd one. And then I'm pretty sure he's going to drop the 3rd right here. You know, again, he's thinking about it. Yeah, but he decides to go bigger, go home, try for the Blue Flare. Means he's got to discard 2 fire energies, 1, 2, and I flip ahead. So his attack does nothing again. Gotta suck to be him. So here, I figure I may as well go ahead and drop the Grass Energy now, because why not? And I'm gonna N, even though I'll only get 4 cards, it'll only give 4 to him, and I don't need the cards as badly. I get a terrible hand. Half of it's useless, but I'm just hoping by putting him at 4 cards, I'm just going to take away all of his options. And since I was basically set up, I figured even if I did get a bad hand, it wouldn't affect me that badly. And that is the case. You know, I still have the Rescue Energy to power up my final Cincinno, but I already had 2 ready to go, so it wasn't a big deal. Here, he needs a Fire Energy to be able to attempt to take me out. And that's really his only option. You know, if I kill this Reshiram, he's in big, big trouble because he doesn't have another attacker on the board ready to go. He's burned through like 10 energy probably, so there can't be that many more. He does get lucky enough to draw into a Juniper, so that's going to let him get out of that bad hand and maybe give him a chance to do something with his turn here. So down comes a Denio. I don't know how to pronounce that thing's name. It's in German. And he puts DCE on it, so another kind of type of energy acceleration there. And both Zoroark and Hydreigon obviously can work on DCE, so they do work in this deck. I just think it's a little bit too busy to run effectively. And then he drops Burn Tower too, which, okay, that's good for him. It might help me out a little bit. I don't know if I play it or not. I guess I do, because why not? It's there, and it'll let me use Roserade if I need her. So I try to attack, but he's taking his time to acknowledge the Burn Tower. There we go. Take out the Reshiram again. So another good thing about Cincinno, once you do get it set up like this, where it's doing 100 a turn, 2-hit KO is pretty much everything. Since Vileplume's down, Eviolite's not going to be a really big problem. And Eviolite's not seeing as much play as it used to anyhow, outside of Durant, just because a lot of times your games are going to devolve into Mewtwo Wars, and at that point Eviolite's almost irrelevant. It's still really good on like Zekrom, the regular Zekrom, to help prevent it from being revenge killed by Mewtwo, but it's not nearly as good as it was last set, in my opinion. Anyhow, I've actually dropped them out completely from my CMT deck just because I wanted more switches, which is a way better card in that deck. Anyhow, this video is not about that. I use the collector there just to look through my deck and see what's left, and to get it out of my hand on the off chance I get end, just so I have a better probability of drawing into something useful. Although, as I said before, I don't really need anything else at this point. I have everything I could possibly want set up. So I take out the poor Zora, and Emboar comes back in. That was a terrible idea. It's basically stuck out there like a big fat fatty. He's not going to be able to go anywhere anytime soon, and he can't play a switch, so he would have been way better off just promoting that Tepig. But whatever. He does get Hydreigon going, and I believe he's got 2 DCEs, so it is actually charged up, which is cool for him. Unfortunately, he has no way to get it active. There, now it's charged up. Because he promoted Emboar, so had he promoted Tepig, he could have Inferno Fandango'd a single fire energy onto that thing and then gotten Hydreigon out there this turn. That would have been a much better idea than what he did. It's probably still too late, but it would have given him a chance because he could have just started targeting down my Cincinnos simultaneously and also take a prize on that Oddish down there. But that is in the past. Instead, he's just going to pass his turn after putting down a Reshiram. And I'm going to do 100 damage to Emboar. So he finally gets a heads on his Burn Tower. I think that's the first time he's actually gotten it. And I believe, yeah, that's going to go into Reshiram, which is the right play, because Outrage can wreck me. This deck does not do well against the regular dragons. It actually fares much better against the EX dragons, because Zekrom can't use Strongbolt without at least a 50% chance of just discarding energy for nothing, and then, you know, Reshiram hurts itself, which just can help Cincinno KO it even quicker. But Hydreigon is in now. It is ready to go, but I only need one more prize, so this is not looking good for him. I flip a Tails on my active Cincinno, I believe, and then he's trying to decide what he wants to attack here, and I guess he went for one of my benched ones because I flip a heads for that one. That means that the one on the bench is not going to take damage, and the one active will, if that's what he did. He went for 2 of them, so it's going to be something like that. And then the other one, obviously, he's just going to target Oddish. He's going to think about it for a long time, though. But, yeah, he just decides to take a prize on Oddish. And then, oh, he hit Roserade. So the first flip was for something else, because he doesn't hit Cincinno at all. So now that I have all these Cincinnos ready, go ahead and drop an energy onto Roserade. That's going to confuse Hydreigon. Now he's only got a 25% chance to hit me. And I do 100 damage to him. So it's game over. There's nothing he can do. Even if he can't even kill my active one, the most he can do is 60. Even if he could, I still had 2 others that could come in and do 50, which is just enough to take out Hydreigon. So he's done at this point. He could retreat into Reshiram and try to Blue Flare, but then he won't have any energy. So that wouldn't really work either. It might have been a better play, though, just because this is obviously game over. You know, at least with the Reshiram, he had maybe a small, tiny chance of coming back. But he takes out Roserade, so he gets to take another prize now that he can hit the bench. And he actually, I flip a whole lot of tails there. I get hit, like all the flips go his way on that turn, which I guess is just karma because they had all gone my way the rest of the match. But it doesn't matter because I can do 100 damage, take my last prize, and that is going to be the game. So there you go. I have one more video backed up. Oh yeah, damage. I did over 1,000 damage that match. That was fun. I have one more video backed up. It's just kind of a goofy match I had with the worst deck I have ever built, ever. So you can look forward to that. And after that, I'm not really sure. I've been playing a lot of Celebi Mewtwo Tornadus because I love that deck. Definitely my favorite one of this set. So maybe we'll get another one of those. Could also do another Eels and Stuff deck because that one's good. So anyhow, let me know what deck do you guys like playing in this metagame. Do you like CMT or do you like Electric? Those are definitely the top 2, but I know some people have other preferences, so let me know what you like to play, and I will try to get a video recorded soon, assuming that Mass Effect has not eaten my life. So, yep, thumbs up, leave me a comment, and more coming your way shortly, hopefully. Thanks, guys.